Welcome to the Center of Light Radio with spiritual teacher, intuitive, musician, composer, and best-selling author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, your host, Keith Anthony Blanchard.
Yeah, it's Monday, coast to coast, pole to pole, all around the world on the internet, thanks to the marvel of technology. I am coming at you live from my little guest house in Memphis, Tennessee, and the Inception Radio Network. This is Keith Anthony Blanchard. You listen to Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement Radio for the soul and the transformation station. Are you a spiritual seeker who is ready to move forward? Let me tell you about my lifelong work, RPM, Recognize, Plug In, and Manifest Your Life. If you're wanting to shift from struggling, oh dear Lord, we know what that's like, to feeling that life is effortless, you can send me an email to book a free session, KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail.com. Title that email, subject, Mr. Keith Blanchard. You don't have to use the Mr., but Keith Blanchard, I want that free session. We'll get you squared away. Whether you want to develop your intuition to greater degrees, whether you want to move through a block, you want greater abundance, just all that cool stuff in and out that we all just like to play with in our lives. We are in the arena of everything here on earth. So if you're having trouble, or if you want to just expand further into some of your gifts, you can contact me at KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail. Send me a request for a free session. But if you go to centeroflightradio.com, at the bottom of the page, you'll see a red Ferrari. Click on that Ferrari. It'll take you to the RPM page. It'll tell you what you get and what you will be able to create. And then again, you get more one-on-one sessions with me so we can help you to get clear about some things, if that is the case, and get you well on your way to living your bliss that you desire and deserve. If you are been listening to Center of Light Radio for a while, you know that I'm all about creating and I put out an abundance of information to help one expand their life, including my own. My life expands every time I create something. But if you fill out that sign-up form on the opening page at Center of Light Radio, not only will you begin to get all of my creations to present day, it'll come in bundles, free, mind you. As soon as I start this newsletter program very, very soon, you will have access to it. Again, fill out that sign-up form on the opening page for your free stuff, as well as to connect with me via the newsletter. For those out there who are having spiritual squatters, let me tell you what a spiritual squatter is. Those bad beings that are hanging out in your house causing you nothing but trouble and making you panicky. Yeah, we're talking about ghosts and dark energies and dark entities. If you have that going on in your house, you can contact me at KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail and tell me what's going on with that, and I'll be glad to help you. And I will be in it. Check this out. I will be in it with you all the way until it's complete. I come with a spiritual arsenal of mantras, pictures, and many other things that will raise the vibration of you, and in turn raise the vibration of your house, and they will disappear just like that as fast as they came in. And again, it's important I tell you, I will be with you in it all the way. I will not leave you hanging, because I know the importance of having peace in your home. I've been in many houses where, ooh, Lord, you walk in and it feels like you walked into a spider web. So I'm here with you in that regard to make your home what's intended to be happy and peaceful and loving for those that you care about, and that would be your family unit. Or meaning me, if I come over and hang out and eat some food with you, I don't want no ghosts around you, right? Now it's time to get down to Center of Light Radio business. Oh, before we do that, a couple of quick announcements. This Wednesday night, if you go to Facebook.com/Keith Anthony Blanchard, Wednesday at 3 o'clock Central Time, we're going to be having a self-love symposium for Valentine's Day, becoming the greatest love of your life. Also, March 11th, 5 o'clock at Unity Church in Walnut Grove here in Memphis or Cordova, Tennessee. I'm going to be doing my first presentation in a long time, hopefully the beginning of a speaking tour titled Radical Transformation, getting inside of you and making some things pop open and having changes happen right here and right now. Mind you, it does not overlook the work that needs to be done, but it's more about a shifting, and I will help you do that. And for this presentation at Unity Church, 5 o'clock on March 11th, and also going to create a soundscape for me. The piano player you heard in the opening music of Lavender Soul, classical, award-winning, world-renowned pianist of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. He's going to be creating a soundscape under my presentation. So I'm honored. This should be really, really cool. And now it's time to get down to Center of Light Radio business. Today's show is Art, Body, and Soul, where painting, yoga, meditation, and healing merge. Art, Body, and Soul is a new studio opening up in East Memphis that combines the work of painting, yoga, meditation, and healing to help people emerge through art, motion, and self-healing techniques. This is the first of its kind in Memphis because of the art studio inclusion. Madeleine will talk about painting out loud, the Dalian Method, self-healing modality, and he experiences with active meditation that will come alive in her series of classes available starting March 20th. Enrollment is open for each of the classes, and grand opening celebrations details are coming soon. As a seeker, Madeleine has been exposed to numerous self-healing modalities, including healing touch, the body code. I've never heard of that. I'm curious about that. Psyche, absolutely, and emotional freedom techniques, or known as EFT. You can find more about my guest today at www.artbodysoulstudio.com. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Madeleine.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Madeleine, please forgive me and remind me of your last name. It's Newkirk, is it? Madeleine Newkirk.
Newkirk, that's right.
Welcome to Center of Light Radio, dear. One thing I always ask my guests predominantly is, when did you begin to move into the field of spirituality in any form, and how did that come about? Did you feel that you were just led into it, or like many of us, was it from pain?
Yeah, it was from, I was in a period of great confusion and in my life, and there was a lot of drama going on in my relationships. And so I decided I needed a break, and I went to a retreat center up in upstate New York, and I was there for about 5 weeks, and it changed my life and set me on the path of a seeker.
And so, if you don't mind me asking, what age was this for you about?
It was about, I think I was 50, so about 8 years ago.
It's quite amazing to me. Actually, it seems more natural than unnatural. A lot of spiritualists gather and collect and move into the self-development mode after a long night of the soul. Do you find that to be true in what you're doing?
Yes, I do, definitely. It's, I think that our pain and struggles are what help us to seek transformation and put us in a place where we are looking for answers.
Yeah, it seems to be true across the board. Now, and it seems to be even more true that the newer kids that are coming into the world today, they're moving into it without all the trouble that many of us adults, baby boomers for some of us, are having to find our way through pain and discomfort and loss of loved ones or loss of a relationship. So tell me, what got you motivated to begin this new program, this new place in Memphis, and go about making this happen for Memphians and anyone else, actually?
Okay, so I grew up here, and I was, a few years back, I was living in the DC area, and when I moved back to Memphis, I wanted to build a spiritual center in the heart of Memphis, but it didn't really take form until last summer. I trained to become a Dalian Method facilitator, and I knew that I really wanted to bring that work into the world. And so when I came home from that, I started working on a business plan, and once I was in that creative process, I decided to combine my love of art and yoga and other healing modalities. And so Art, Body, and Soul is what came out of that process.
Tell me about this, at the beginning of the show, when I read your bio, this, what was it called, the body code? Tell me about the body code.
Well, the body code was developed by, well, I'm going to forget his name right now. So it's a process of releasing trapped emotions and other energies that may be holding you back using, it's a very specific method, and it uses the governing meridian across the top of your head to release the trapped emotions. I have found it to work very well on the physical level, and I prefer other modalities for different things, but that one particularly works well on the physical level.
Thank you, dear. I had something close on me. So, how many people around the Memphis scene do you have in partnership with this project? Is this solely your baby, or do you have Victoria with? Is she with you as well, and others?
So Victoria is helping me with marketing, and that's really great to have her helping me with that. And I also have a yoga teacher who's helping me with finding yoga teachers who are aligned with our focus, which is about, building spiritual community and self-discovery, self-healing, and transformation. So she's helping me find yoga teachers who haven't lost sight of that in their practice. And but really, it's my baby. I just have great helpers.
So, are you a teacher of yoga?
No,
you're not. So you're more the art person. You're contributing in the form of art. Actually, what I'm looking behind you, that has to be a piece of your beautiful work.
That's one of my paintings.
Yeah,
so I'm an artist, and at our grand opening, I'll be exhibiting my art. And so we're also a gallery, and we'll be displaying. I want to represent artists who are up and coming and perhaps looking to display their art, exhibit their art for the first time.
Do you commission out for some of your work?
I have not. So one of my struggles in life has been keeping myself hidden and not using my voice, and so I've really struggled to find it. And so most of my life I have kept my art hidden, and so I'm stepping out.
So now let me ask you this. Now that you're stepping out with your voice via your painting, do you find that your audio voice is actually stepping out as well? Do you see a handshake deal there?
I do. I mean, this is really something I could not imagine having done, being on the radio a number of years ago. It's really, I really attribute everything to my work using the Dalian Method. And it's been a real privilege to be a part of that work with the creator of the Dalian Method, Dalian. She's a mystic and a award-winning best-selling author, and she created this really incredible method. It's a powerful tool for self-discovery and spiritual awakening and self-healing.
From the chat room, I believe asked a question. Can we see these paintings now?
Well, I have one. I mean, we can't. I mean, here's one I have beside me.
Don't you have some on do you have some on your website?
Oh, yes, that would be a better idea.
Right. What is that address again? Would that be art?
Yes,
what is
yes. They're all on display and on my website at artbodysoulstudio.com.
artbodysoulstudio.com to find more of her work, I believe. And that was their name. And I don't mean I believe that's where you find it. Thanks for the question. So is this going to be this is going to be a healing center? Not only visually for the art. Give me the modalities again, if you would, the types of healing that are going to take place here in this particular studio.
Okay, so we have the studio, and then we have an area for like a spa services. So we'll have massage, and we'll have energy healing. I'm a student of Healing Touch, and I also do the Dalian Method. So we'll be doing both of those things, plus I'll have other therapists that will be doing massage and other energy workers.
Healing Touch, is that Light Touch by Barbara
Brennan?
Yes.
She was one of the, I don't know how, you shouldn't be questioning me. I'm just a student, remember, but she is definitely was involved as a resource. I don't think she's the founding person.
Some years ago, with my first wife, wow, I don't have a string of them, so don't say it. With my first wife, we both got to the Healing Touch modality, and I loved it. And I didn't take it as far as she did, but I had a good time with it. In fact, before I really got involved in it fully, a friend of mine called me, and she told me she was having some really, really bad problems, bleeding down there in the woman place. And I did some light touch on her, and it completely stopped. It literally completely stopped. And it sort of wowed me back then, even though I was on a conscious spiritual path. I wasn't as well endowed consciously about the spiritual path. But what took place when she called me the next morning and told me, oh my God, Keith, this is completely stopped and there is no evidence, and it's still stopped to this day. But when I found this out, something inside of me clicked, because it was a believing factor that, how can I expect something to heal someone when you're not even touching them? Even though I was working on faith and belief, by getting that report from this client telling me that everything had changed for this person, really did something powerful for me. Or you said you were still in the learning phase of this program, is that right?
Right. Yeah, so I'm a level 3 student, and I will plan to be a level 4 student sometime soon. In the level 3 class, we learn how to connect with Earth and connect our heart line and raise our vibration. So it's really cool, because then when we need to raise our vibration higher than the person that we are trying to support, and it's a really powerful practice, I think.
So as you do this now, even though you're still learning before you get to the next level, are you seeing, or are you getting reports of effects of how it's working for people?
Oh, yes. I mean, I definitely think it's supporting people very well. And I have friends who have been through the entire program, and of course, I've worked with them, and it's amazing. It's very helpful for healing.
So if you would, give me an idea. John or Jane Doe is laying on a table, and you're going to go in and doing some light touch therapy, or hands of light therapy, whatever you want to call it. There's a few different names. What is your procedure?
Well, so we start by talking to the person and finding out what's going on with them. And then we assess the energy field. Either some people use their hands, some people use a pendulum to check the chakras and see what's going on. And after that, you decide what method within the Healing Touch program would be most effective. And so we have ways to balance the chakra system, to clear the energy field. So the intent is to use our hands and our heart to support the person in the best way possible for them to self-heal. I am not a healer. I'm just there to support them and enhance their ability to heal themselves.
So if it's been so long, don't you go in to the person's energy field, their bioenergetic field, or their aura, and you sort of, with your intention in your hands, kind of open up the light body a little bit, and or when you're scanning, whatever the correct word would be, don't you have to sometimes rake out some dark energy, like literally grab it and intentionally, with the intention of raking it out? Is that how the process is done from my memory?
There is a technique called magnetic clearing that we use our fingertips to, pull the energy off the field. There are other layers to the energy, and we use our hands in different ways to sort of comb out and clear out what's there that may be blocking the energy. Because if with physical illness, generally it has to come into the energy field first. And so if you can clear it out there, then it never reaches the physical body.
I read a long time ago, in fact, I read this after I intuited this, and it's in my book, The Divine Principle. I was doing a meditation one day, and I'm having this communion with my higher self, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And what came to me was, spirit will prompt you when you're beginning to be not well. It'll show up in the form of thoughts. And if they go unmonitored, then it'll show up in the form of feeling. And if it goes unmonitored, or you can't detect it, then it will show up in the body, where it can no longer be ignored and or denied. Is this sort of what you just said? That you get to it before it actually congeals itself in a physical way? Right.
If you keep your energy clear and balanced, you have the principle would be that it would not reach the physical body, because you would have caught it at a level that's beyond the body.
So what kind of meditation classes are you going to be bringing about there?
So we'll probably have traditional seated meditation, but we're also going to be doing active meditation. And most of the active meditations that we're going to be using were created by Osho was a Zen master. I guess you know Osho.
Osho.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing his active meditations, and Dalian, that created the Dalian Method, she also has she has an active meditation and another meditation we'll probably use. And I'm open to other ideas, but so it's really great because the active portion of the meditation prepares you to sit, because most people this day and age are so busy and stressed, and it's hard to just drop down into sit and watch and drop down into your center without some physical activity to get you down into your body. First off, move you out of your head and into the body, either with the breath or movement or one of the techniques involved in these.
Yeah. Osho, he was a firecracker, man.
Yeah.
So why Osho Rajneesh? What is why is he the target for the guided meditations? Just curious.
Why is Osho the target? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if he was
a follower of his, or others in the room with you, in the building with you, follows as to why y'all going to be using his meditation.
Well, so Dalian, my teacher, her teacher was Osho. And so she uses active meditation and believes in it. So that's how I came to the world of active meditation. Because
what have you discovered in your meditations, other than you, a greater part of yourself? But what would you share with our listening audience is beneficial about meditation?
Well, it's developing being the watcher, and so that in any situation you can be there in your center and really be okay in any situation that arises. And so it's really important to develop that ability to just watch.
Totally agreed. It helps us greatly to back off of the scenario, whatever that scenario may be. And if you do meditation long enough, then you can bring that into your open-eyed state, because you've already created a new disposition, that you're so used to being the observer when something in life that happens that can just really get you good, and it could potentially plant you in an energetic scenario and stick to you for many, many years. If you back off and you become the observer, then you can see it from a fresh perspective. Would that be correct?
Oh, yes, I think so. I know that in the work that I've done with the Dalian Method, the method is a very powerful tool that helps you to go inside and learn something about yourself. And I've lost my train of thought. So maybe you can get me back on track before I...
We were talking about, and I lost my train of thought. I think you and I took the same train to another planet. From the chat room, someone asked us, Precious Stone asked a question, what types of meditation does she think is most effective? I have been thinking about doing TM.
Well, I've never actually used TM. I have friends that have, but so I just use either traditional seated meditation with my focus on the breath, or I do the active meditation. And so if she's in the Memphis area, she could come by the studio and try out an active meditation, or you can look online, Google Osho's active meditations, and learn about that there.
For those, I'm looking at the chat room now, Precious Stone, Billy Shaw, and Sarah Popovich. I see you inquiring about children. If you are having trouble with your children, let's say they're being troubled, how's that? Contact me, KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail.com, and say, Keith, who is this teacher about children you're referring to, teacher of children you're referring to, and I'll be glad to send it to you. Her name is Dr. Nikki Elliott. She did some inner work on my son, and the next day my son woke up from the sleep, and he was a different boy. This is no joke. Contact me. I will be more than happy to put you in touch with Dr. Nikki Elliott. So the question I want to ask you about, we were talking about breathing a minute ago. You were talking about breathing. Have you ever heard of this, Madeleine, the idea that we know that meditation can move us not only through the issues in our life because our vibration gets higher. And this is sort of like a preventative. let's just for this moment, for this discussion right here in this moment, that we're saying meditation is a preventative. It raises your vibration so that you can clear said karma destined to come back to you if not, but also to raise your vibration so you didn't create any of that mess anymore. But have you ever heard of the idea or the technique, something just happened and it's not cool, it's not fun, and it's very bothersome, and it could be with you, as I mentioned just a bit ago, for quite a long time if you do nothing in the moment to stop the process, because the longer we let it sit there, the longer it will begin to congeal itself. Have you ever heard of this technique? So here's my scenario, right? I have it in my hand and I'm looking at it from an observer, the meditative perspective, which creates a new tone. And now you breathe like a madman into this dynamic of what has you boogered and which could potentially be with you for a long time. Breath is light. Breath is awareness. Breath is God. God gave us life through breath. Have you ever heard of the idea of breathing your way and dismantling that said problem that you're facing in that moment by doing that breath? Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I mean, I've used chaotic breathing in...
Define chaotic breathing. Is that what I just said differently?
Yeah. That's what you were doing. Well, you also generally shake. You do the breathing, the fast breathing, and shake your body at the same time. And so actually one of Osho's meditations has that chaotic breathing and shaking. So, but no, I haven't heard of just breathing to...
Are you going to, by chance, have any guest guided meditation people there? Guest speakers?
I am going to have guests. I'm not sure whether they'll be doing guided meditation. I do want to invite anyone in your audience who's listening, because I've left time in the schedule. We're trying to build what we're calling Friday Nights at the Gallery, and so on first Fridays we'll be having the art show, and then the other Friday nights, I'd like to have guest speakers doing what, they could be teaching an art class, they could be doing a lecture, they could be leading meditation, open to any ideas for that series. We also have time on, other days, evenings, mornings, Saturdays. I've left some gaps there because some of the things I'm teaching, like I'm doing a series on self-healing techniques, and so that's like 4 weeks, and then I won't offer it again for a period of time, and in that gap there'll be time for other people to offer what they have been creating.
Madam, we're at the bottom of the hour. Would you give out your contact information, how our listening audience could find every aspect of you for the art studio, artbodysoulstudio.com, everyone. It's www.artbodysoulstudio.com, as well as your paintings, just whatever it is you want to announce to them about how to find more about you and your work, as well as the address here in Memphis of the studio that's going to be opening on the 20th, is it right?
I think we're going to open on the 16th, but it's not set in stone yet. So if you want more information about the grand opening, you can go to artbodysoulstudio.com. We're also on Facebook at Art Body Soul Studio, and I can be reached. My contact information is on the website. And let's see. I guess that's how you find. Oh, it's at 1024 South Yates Road, just right off of Poplar. We're south of Poplar. So.
Wonderful. For the person, you can bet I'm going to be in. I'm going to come see you really soon when you open, that's for sure. And I would love to be a part of the presenter there when the time comes.
Yeah, that would be great. We'd love to have you.
For the person in the chat room, Tricia, she asked, what part of the brain is stimulated when we meditate? Madeleine, do you know what part of our brain is stimulated when we meditate?
No, I'll defer to you on that one.
Well, believe it or not, out of all of my years of spiritual study, I never really ventured down that rabbit hole. But while you were explaining to the audience how to find more about you, Tricia, I did a little Google thing, and it says, as a relatively new technology, fMRI has only recently been used to assess the brain state changes during meditation. Recent studies have shown heightened activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex, specifically in the dorsal medial prefrontal area during Vipassana meditation.
That's a
So
mouthful.
there's your explanation. I can send that to you, actually, and I will do that shortly. So how big is your facility? Is it?
So it's small. We're about 1,400 square feet, and we're still under renovation. That's why I'm not entirely sure of the opening date. They're telling me they'll be finished on the 23rd of this month, and I'm going to give them another week or so because they tend to run behind a little bit. So
Galaxy Hopper from the chat room asks, what are her thoughts on telepathy? I don't see why we can't connect with each other on another wavelength like that. I have connected to many, many people during meditations. Have you, Madeleine?
I have, when I use the Dalian Method, I often connect with people. Well, I've connected with people using breath work as well. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of times what happens in the Dalian Method for me, and I think it's different from other people, but when I get to the point in the method where I am seeing a new awareness about myself, like this isn't really telepathy, but quite often I'll see the person who has been mirroring what I've been, what they're trying to teach me, what I needed to learn. I'll see an image of them, and I'll be able to, it really helps me to connect that inside of myself. And so then it's not like that person that's been triggering me, it makes sense. And I can be thankful that they have been a part of my life. So.
One thing you said is you called my name when you said the word awareness. That's my new name. My name is Awareness Anthony Blanchard. I am really big on that word because in that word is everything. I mean that literally. Everything is an awareness, and also metaphorically. It's everything. For me, I heard you mention that every time you find a new awareness about yourself or expand into a new awareness, if you can, to the best of your ability, because I know sometimes words don't even touch the reality, what is awareness expansion for you, and how does it feel when you go, oh my God, I just expanded into a new place? Is it a slow, ongoing process, or is it an epiphany? Is it a shift just like that, and you realize that you expanded?
Right. I mean, usually a lot of times it's an aha moment, and you see something from a different perspective, and you can see, what the universe has been trying to teach you, and so it brings understanding about yourself on a deeper level, and it's very healing. And like for myself, since I have been hiding my whole life and not using my voice, through working with new awarenesses that I garnered by using the Dalian Method, I've been able to find my strength, and every time I do a session, I find more of that strength. I find more love for myself. I find, basically I'm finding my way home, which is inside of me,
That's the ticket. That was the definition. We can contact Webster's and insert a new definition for awareness. Finding your way home. I totally get that. I've been doing these bursts of light videos, Madeleine, for about a year and a half, maybe a year and 3/4. And it's these live, for those out there in the listening audience, often you can always contact me or friend me at Keith Anthony Blanchard on Facebook. It'll be facebook.com/Keith Anthony Blanchard. I do these live. I have no notes. I may have a couple of notes, but I just look at this camera and as if I'm talking directly to whoever's in the listening audience, and I just go off. And when I started doing these about a year and 3/4 ago, something came and began to come inside of me and sit and live. And it's an expanded awareness. And I starve, I crave, I'm addicted to doing these live feeds, not because I'm showing off and I get to be in the spotlight. It's because the dynamic that happens within me when I do these live bursts of light, is what I call them, bursts of light. When I do these live sessions, something begins to come inside of me and like blow me up like a balloon in my field of awareness. Sometimes it gets to be a little uncomfortable because I have not stretched myself to that place. But as I get more and more used to doing these, it's like you said, I become aware of another layer of myself. And it truly does feel like I'm going home. There's a knowing and a memory in that.
So that's why I had this painting sitting here that I held up earlier, is that To me, so when I painted this painting, I know your audience, I guess they can see it now, but not when it's archived. But so this is a painting I created, I don't know, before I ever started really seeking. And so what I did first was I painted all the brilliant colors you see in the intersecting lines, and the whole canvas was covered in those brilliant colors. And at some point, I hated the painting. And so first I took masking tape, which are the lines, and covered the painting with the lines of masking tape. And then I took the opaque color that you see and covered up the rest of the color. And so to me, that's what we do in life. We have this brilliant essence, or whatever you would call it, within us that is all light and color and love and forgiveness and compassion, and we cover it up with all the emotions that we didn't want to feel, the traumas of our life, our false beliefs about ourselves. And when you use the Dalian Method, or when you meditate, you get to peel back those layers. And what you're doing is not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you are and coming home to yourself. And it's, it's been a very powerful process. And I think once you begin this process, there's something in your spirit that keeps the ball rolling, and you just have to keep coming back for more.
When I interview people, I often ask when they're in their passion, for example, yours is probably when you're doing your art. Would that be correct? Mm-hmm. When you're in that passion, what does it feel like to be you? Not only to be you, but what does it feel like to be you connecting to Creator, the creative aspect of you? What does that feel like? I mean, can you feel it slowly but surely coming on, like I'm almost connected, I'm almost there, the brush is about to start moving, or does it just, wham, come sit right inside? How does that work for you? What does it feel like to be you?
So when I'm painting, I love the first part because it's very freeing, and it's only the first layer, and you're not attached to anything yet. You're not afraid, oh my gosh, if I do something, I'm going to ruin this little part I love.
Right.
So then at some point you get stuck or frustrated and get out of the flow. But I have a very tenacious little spirit, and so I have this part of me that has to complete. So I stick with it, and then eventually it's like you round some sort of corner that's invisible, and then you're in the flow, and you can see it. You can see what's going to happen, even though there's still some mystery, but it's headed in the right direction, and it's.
I would agree with that, even in my work, and I'm starting on a new book now. When I do these bursts of light, I started doing a recent new series of them less than a year ago, and I did about 8 or 10 of them, and I realized, oh my God, I'm just sitting here channeling all this stuff to a viewing audience. I decided to grab all this text and throw it into a document, and now I'm editing it and making it into a book called Radical Transformation. Point is, I know what it's like when you start the project. It's like, I know the vision. I can see it. I may not be able to see it with my eyes, but I have sight and I have vision, and I know what it's going to be. I just can't give you in full detail what that's going to look like. So I do know, like you, that it's coming down the pike, and it's going to have closure with itself. It's going to come to a state of fruition. Yes.
Right. So somewhere in the middle, do you get frustrated?
You just read my mind. I'll just say yes. Sometimes in the middle I get frustrated and cuss and throw stuff down. No, I don't. No, I may cuss internally, say grumble and mumble. I do. But it's a way of venting out the energy. Instead of letting it just sitting inside of me, grumble and mumble, I'm going to yell it out loud so I can get it out of my body, and then I surround it with love and light. And I'll always do this little trick. I send it to the pink bubble universe. Everything just dissipates into love and sweetness and all that cool stuff. So anytime I do something that could potentially bring some unwanted karma, I immediately send it into the pink bubble universe. But yes, I do get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's part of it. So it's definitely part of it in our Painting Out Loud class. So it's in keeping with our focus of being a spiritual community for self-discovery. And so when you process paint, it's different from painting for a product. You're actually...
So tell me a little more about Painting Out Loud. Even though I read that in your bio, I never really asked you, I didn't really make sense of anything you describing. What is Painting Out Loud?
So Painting Out Loud is just the name that we came up with. That's so we're interested in painting the inside out, and it's an intuitive method of painting or process art, and it's also a meditative practice. So like I was saying in seated meditation earlier, that you might focus on the breath, and when you realize that you're no longer watching the breath, you just come back to the breath without judgment. So in process painting, if you get stuck in the process, you come back to what color wants to be painted, what brush wants to be used, what's going on in the energy, what's happening inside the artist, and how might that be expressed on the canvas.
So you're creating awareness with your tools, because they are living beings. There are living energies. So you're creating an awareness and a relationship with them, because at one point, let me ask you this. I have said brush, and this is my favorite, or whatever brush I feel that is appropriate for the moment. And you're painting and everything looks pretty groovy, and this looks kind of cool, and all of a sudden you get a block. Is it possible that the block showed up because it's time to put that brush down and grab another one?
Well, it could be. It's probably more likely something going on in the artist, but it could be that the brush, you were no longer called to be using that brush, and you needed to step back a moment and see.
Maybe it ran out.
So,
I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to come seeing your place, and you will be open on weekends. That's correct?
yes. Yeah, we'll be right now we're going to be open 7 days a week. So.
Wow, I'll dig it. And this is, tell me again, where is this located? Just for me, because I can always look it up, and I'm in dialogue.
1024 South Yates, which is
South Yates. I know where
so
that's at.
At Poplar and 240. Do you know where that?
Yes,
There's
exactly.
Wendy's on the corner.
Boy, in that little niche back there is everything. Everybody's back there. Doctors and massage therapists, and you.
Yeah, crowd is back there. But it's a nice little neighborhood.
How long have you been working on this project, dear, to get this building up and running and open?
So I started on my business plan when I returned from Vancouver back in, I think that was April. Well, I guess it was probably May. So I came home and I immediately started working on that, having never done a business plan before, and it was actually fun. So because so many different ideas kept coming, and so that's when I started that. And then I wanted to buy the building versus rent it. So I looked for a little house was in a commercial area. So this is a little house, and I think it's going to be perfect. We may outgrow it, by next week.
I can see when, as I'm sitting here watching you on camera, every time we talk about this in particular, other than the meditation and awareness, but when we talk about this thing, this building, this wonderful thing you're going to be opening up, you just start smiling. Yeah, exactly. You start cracking a very, very huge smile. Tell me, so I'm sure you're probably excited as all get out.
Well, of course, yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm, some days I'm just all excited and can't wait, and other days I'm like, what if nobody comes? That sort of self-doubt will creep in. But
it's healthy. It's healthy skepticism. Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. We have some great. We're not yet ready to announce our yoga teachers, but I think we have a really great lineup, and I think people will be excited about who's coming to teach there, and hopefully we'll be announcing that next week. And so still looking if we still have a couple of yoga spots to fill, and we have some spots to fill for massage or energy work. If people are interested, they can look me up at our website.
And that would be www.artbodysoulstudio.com. From the chat room, Grog asked the question, what does your neighbors think about this type of work that you're doing? Neighbors where you live now, or the studio? Because if it's by the studio, I'm assuming it's It's all of the same
Well,
type of consciousness, yeah?
yeah, so by the studio, one side is a salon and barbershop, and the other side, and it's a traditional old barbershop with a pole and everything. And behind them, there's like a little daycare center, and on the other side, there's a nail salon. There are also a lot of hair salons back in that area. I don't know if you.
I think you're located in the right place.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's a lot of men that apparently love that barbershop because they have their big trucks there all the time.
So you're originally from Memphis?
I am. So yeah, I went to school here and grew up here. And I actually lived here other than my I was away for college, and I lived in Virginia for a little bit recently. So
Is there anything more you would like to let our listening audience know, including myself, about your new studio that's going to be opening up, something that might help us to gravitate towards your place as soon as possible?
Well, we're going to have lots of different things going on, and so one of the ideas was in combining studio and gallery and art with yoga and self-healing modalities, was that so someone might wander in to see for an art show who enjoys to go to events such as that, and then they might discover something that they might not have discovered otherwise, that they might not have ever wandered into a spiritual center, so to speak, and so, but maybe it'll make them curious. And I'm really hoping that people will become curious about the Dalian Method, because it has changed my life in ways that I could not have imagined. And
So where can we find this method?
okay, so it's a self-healing method, and you can work with it on your own. The creator is Dalian, and you can find her online. She's at modadalian.com. I can't speak.
Can you spell that last name or her full website, please?
Yeah, so it's Mada, M-A-D-A, Dalian, D-A-L-I-A-N.com. And so she's the creator, and she has a beautiful new website, and she's the person who taught, I consider her my teacher, and I've been working with her for 6 years, and she created this method, and I don't know, it's incredible. It's helped. You can work with it on your own, like I was saying. You can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it directly, you could buy it from me, you could buy it from Mada, and you can work with a facilitator or not. I personally like working with a facilitator, which I have the privilege of doing, because we help each other in learning to be better facilitators by working with each other.
This is taught all over, or is it a program that someone can purchase? Sarah from the chat room asked, is this only taught in the States? I'm sure it's a program that you can purchase, right?
So yeah, right. So you can purchase it's like a kit. It comes with a book that explains the method and explains the theory behind the method. And then there's a CD. I think you can also, I've never used the CD. I think you can get a download or whatever. But so you can buy it anywhere and use it anywhere. Mada herself lives in British Columbia, so she's not in the United States. I think there are 4 of us in the United States that are facilitators, and there's some in Europe, and there are more in Canada than anywhere else. So.
Are you going to allow other artists to display their work in the studio?
Yes. So we're hoping that beginning May 1st, we would like to start our art openings on Friday nights, and so we're looking for artists who are interested in displaying. I am trying to, really stick with my focus, and so I'm asking that artists be willing to give an artist talk during the art opening, and how their experience with art has affected their life, or what, I'm not going to tell them what they need to say, so whatever they want to say about their art, as long as it's connected into a meaningful, self-discovery or transformation.
Do you know Kevin Hutchins?
I do. I don't think he knows me, but I know him, and I love his paintings.
He's phenomenal. In fact, when I told you earlier about my first wife, That's her brother. So
Oh, really?
Kevin and I were brother-in-laws at one time, but now we're brothers.
Right.
His work, I love his work. I love his work, and
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love the fact that he stuck to his guns. He stuck to his path because in the early days of Kevin's work, when he was starting out and displaying, and of course he was excited. He was showing people, and he caught the biggest bunch of flack from a lot of people around him, and he said, "You know what? Blank, blank." And he just kept with it, and now he's very successful, and his work speaks on so many layers, like yours.
Yeah, so he's incredible. Actually, when he had his little studio out in Bartlett, I always intended to go out there and take his art class just to see how he was teaching it. It was just a one-on-one thing he was doing. So anyway, I missed that opportunity, I suppose. But I do think I saw he liked Art, Body, Soul recently, so I was excited about that.
Very neat. From the chat room, Katniss asked the question, do you need to be a trained painter to get into this? I only dabble.
No, you do not. No painting experience is necessary at all.
So they can contact you maybe for some guidance or a session about how to go about this way of painting out loud?
Yes, I mean, I'm happy to talk to them, or they can come out and take a class. We're starting classes just after spring break, whenever, I forget exactly when the Memphis spring break is, but so I think the classes begin March 22nd. And right now I'm selling them in a series of 3 classes because it's important to build a safe space so that the artist, feels safe to express whatever's coming up for them.
Madeleine, thank you for being a wonderful guest here on Center of Light Radio. Is there anything you would like to close with? Maybe, again, ways they can connect to you, anything you want to say about the studio that's going to be coming out hopefully on the 16th. And you have my full support, dear, however that may be.
All right. Well, thank you. So, yeah, we're going to hopefully have the grand opening on March 12th, and we're going to discuss it tomorrow, Victoria and I. She's with East Memphis Media, if anyone needs a good marketing person. And I think we'll begin in the morning around 9 with a ribbon cutting ceremony and have looking at having free yoga classes that day. And we'll have a art opening that night exhibiting my work. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. So if you want to stay in the loop, you can sign up for our newsletter at artbodysoulstudio.com or check us out on Facebook, also at Art Body Soul Studio. So, yeah, that's where we are. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
We got to take care of our own, dear. We're in the same community.
That's right.
We're all connected, right? Like
Yep.
the person asking the chat room earlier, can meditation connect as well? Madeleine and I just meditated and we connected. In fact, I just met this lady now. The other day we did a sound check, but you're welcome. And however I can support you and being an expression and a center, no pun intended, a center of light in this community, all you have to do is ask, dear.
Okay, I appreciate that too.
Love and light, everyone. Show your love to Madeleine Newkirk. What a great, phenomenal guest. I really enjoy talking with her. You can bet as soon as I can, I'm going to get out to the new studio and see what it's all about. I'll come back and report to you and probably echo how much it is just really cool and you need to get out there. Next week on Center of Light Radio, my guest is going to be Annabelle Viscata. And we're going to be talking about everything like divine feminine, cosmic womb, the Stargate, the heart, whatever you want to call it. This place right here is where all the magic happens, right? Like I always say, if we point to ourselves, if I ask you to point to yourself, you point here. If I ask you to point to Creator, you point here. So the question becomes, is what part of you that you know as you ends and Creator begins? Well, they begin to crossfade. And when you begin to tap into that Stargate, that cosmic womb, that divine feminine, the place where we all connect and all speak the same language. When you get into that place, life gets really good. And Annabelle Viscara is going to be here next week again. We're going to be speaking about divine feminine, the Stargate, the cosmic womb, or as Christ said, the sacred heart. Either way, that's what we're going to be talking about. Thank you very much for joining me every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find me sitting in this chair conducting affairs of the heart. Remember, When you lay down at night, you have nothing to do, as Madeleine and I were speaking about. You might live a busy 9-to-5 job, I get it. But when you lay down at night, breathe. Breathe for the sake of breathing. Taste that breath. Be grateful for that breath. Do that for 10 or 15 minutes and you will find yourself in the cosmic deafening silence. And in that silence is encrypted with everything you can possibly imagine. Possibly imagine. Do this as an ongoing practice and watch your life expand into the fullness of who you are. See you next week. Peace, love, and I love you. Peace, love, and light.